All right. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. We are going to begin on page 343. Ozi v'zimratya vayahili lishua. If you know these beautiful words, join with us. And if you don't, the melody is soothing and easy to catch on to. So join with us when you're ready. Bottom of the page. Bottom 343. These words that we just sung, Ozi v'zimratya vayahili lishua, they come from the Song of the Sea, that moment when the Israelites finally get to taste that first moment of real freedom. And it's translated as, God is my strength and my might, God will be my deliverance. But Rabbi Shefa Gold, she's the one who composed that beautiful melody. She offers an alternative translation. She says, my strength balanced with the song of God will be my salvation. And through this interpretation, which I love, we locate our O's, we locate our strength, our will, and then we pair it, she says, with our surrender, with opening ourselves up to that song of God and letting it run through us. And so in these difficult days, we need both, that O's, that strength, and we also need that release. And hopefully on the Shabbat, we can have them together and get that much needed rest and respite so that we can continue with the work that is ahead for all of us. And so we're going to continue into our Kabbalat Shabbat with Shiru Ladonai, Psalms. Let us envision and imagine a new song that we can create and sing unto God. We are on page 344, still back of the prayer book, 344. small crowd here, but we have some beautiful voices that are filling up this space. We've got Nancy, we've got Rory, she's also choir, my mother, yes. And really, the truth is, good voice, not good voice. The whole point is that we're lifting up our voices in song together. We are turning back to page 20 and 21 as we join in Lecha Dodi. Let's greet the joy of two people coming together in love. Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likakala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekavela shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad hishmianu el chamilchad Adonai Shem Tiferet Velitila Lecha Dodi Likakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Likakala Yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likakala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Top of 21. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech umi ori. Bottom of 21, we turn and face the entrance. We are on page 28. We continue standing. Let's read together on page 31, the bottom of 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. And we'll continue on the top of 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On Tuesday, 26 of us, members of Leobek Temple, joined by 3 other local congregations here in Los Angeles, including 2 people in this room, are going to be traveling to Nevada because we are going to be gathering signatures so that in November there can be a ballot measure protecting reproductive freedom. And so we are traveling for the day. And actually, I just found out that our group we're going to be the ones to push it over the edge to the number of signatures that they need. And so this reminded me as we prepare tonight to sing Mi Chamocha. And we're also going to join in Miriam's song, of course, on Passover, of a poem that was written by Merle Feld. It's called We All Stood Together. And in this poem, she reimagines that moment at Sinai when our people were gathered, were huddled together to receive Torah. And instead of thinking about it from the mainstream perspective, she offers the view of a woman. And so I thought that we could lift up her voice, lift up women's voices, lift up all voices that too often get silenced in our world, and hear her beautiful offering. She writes, "My brother and I were at Sinai. He kept a journal of what he saw, of what he heard, of what it all meant to him. I wish I had such a record of what happened to me there. It seems like every time I want to write, I can't. I'm always holding a baby, one of my own or one for a friend, always holding a baby so my hands are never free to write things down. And then as time passes, the particulars, the hard data, the who, what, when, where, why slip away from me. And all I'm left with is the feeling. But feelings are just sounds, the vowel barking of a mute. My brother is so sure of what he heard. After all, he's got a record of it, consonant after consonant after consonant. If we remembered it together, we could recreate holy time, sparks flying." So let's make those sparks fly here together on page 40, our words of freedom, Mi Chamocha.
מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים זה אלינו ואמרו זה אלינו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. And the women dancing with their timbrels follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted.
Miriam and the women dance the whole night long.
One more time. And the women dancing with their timbrels follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted.
Miriam and the women dance the whole night long. We move from words of rejoicing and freedom into words of comfort. Our nighttime prayer, Hashkivenu, can be found on your supplemental pages. And in this moment, as we yearn for safety as a Jewish people, we hold on to these words and we imagine that experience of a sukkah shalom, of a shelter of peace that we can feel both externally and also internally within ourselves. We'll join together in these beautiful words.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu Malkeinu ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Keep us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Just our voices. Amen. 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 Our Amidah, our standing prayer, can be found on page 46. 46. It's our prayer of being closest to God, however we can see God in this moment. It can be our prayer of being closest to ourselves. It can be our prayer of being closest to any loved ones that we're holding right now. It's a prayer that allows us to be in touch with any of the values that we see as really, really important. And on Shabbat, any of these values that we want to focus on for these 25 hours to come. I'll invite us to rise in all the ways that we're able. Our standing prayer can be found on page 46. We'll recite the first 4 prayers together as a community, and following, it'll be an opportunity for silent meditation or reflection, and feel free to either use the prayers in the prayer book or the meditations of your own heart, and we'll be seated when we're finished. שפתי תפתח ובי אגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר הסתי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukadoshim b'chol yom, Yehalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out a danger, I'd hammer out a warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out a danger, I'd ring out a mourning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out a danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Well, I've got a hammer, and I've got a bell, I've got a song to sing all over this land, and that's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. justice. It's the bell of freedom. It's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Ooh.
Just days ago, I sat in our social hall filled with women, many women who happen to be in this room, of all generations for our LBT Women's Seder. The youngest children came up to recite the 4 questions, beaming with pride at their accomplishment. Our teens and even adults joined them to shake it out to our favorite LBT Passover melody, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, and to belt out Dayenu. Current and past leaders of LBT women helped us to kindle our festival lights, and all of us reveled in our ability to come together in community, recognizing the power and the meaning of being around the Seder table with one another. Every year, we gather around our Seder tables to retell our people's story of freedom in a way that promotes gratitude and joy. We recall the bread of affliction that our ancestors ate as they rushed out of Egypt to escape the shackles of freedom, of slavery. We recline in comfort as we sing Avadim Hayinu in recognition of our hard-earned liberation. And we pour 4 heaping cups of wine to symbolize God's hand in the Israelites' redemption. Yet just as we celebrate our freedom, the Seder ritual insists that we do something rather radical as well. We acknowledge the suffering of the Egyptians. At the same time as we rejoice in our deliverance, we also lessen that joy by dropping wine out of our glasses with the recitation of each plague, recognizing that our tradition is asking us to hold both our joy for our people's triumph and at the same time our compassion for the pain that it caused our foes. For the frogs and the blood and the darkness and the death were not simply God's wonders that allowed us to escape. They were also vehicles of suffering, inflicted both upon their taskmasters and upon innocent Egyptians. And when we recall the Israelites triumphantly escaping to safety across the Red Sea, a midrash from our ancient rabbis again reminds us that we must acknowledge the demise of the other. As the once parted waters close in on the Egyptians and they begin to drown in the sea, the angels begin to sing a song of praise for the Israelites as they finally experience the relief of their safety and of their freedom. But God scolds the angels. My creations are drowning in the sea, and you want to sing before me? God's angels want to rejoice in the Israelites' miraculous release from oppression, and yet amidst the celebratory moment, God demands that they show empathy for the Israelites' oppressors, no less. And in repeating this midrash year after year at our Seder tables, we do the same thing, holding at once both gratitude for our liberation and sorrow for the loss of life suffered as part of that process. For this is what our tradition demands of us, to share our people's story of redemption and survival throughout the generations in the face of destruction, and to lament the trauma suffered by Egypt, not just those innocent Egyptians who suffered due to Pharaoh's hubris, but also the principal culprits, our people's pursuers who drowned in the sea, all God's creations. Retelling our liberation story does not permit us to erase the Egyptian demise, nor does acknowledging their fate require us to apologize for our people's freedom. And today, we must also find a way to hold multiple narratives, difficult as it may seem. As we mourn for those lost on October 7th and pray for the safe return of those who are still held hostage by Hamas, as we yearn for safety as Jews in our communities, across college campuses, and in Israel, we cannot simply erase the suffering of Palestinians, all God's creatures. As the war in Gaza has unfolded, the world seems to be demanding that we choose between two mutually exclusive stories. Either we are pro-Israel or we're pro-Palestinian. And we have even created a variety of litmus tests to assess someone's allegiance. At a pro-Israel gathering, we dare not mention the Palestinian children who are dying, or those who can't access food or health care, lest you undermine your belief in Israel's legitimate right to exist. At a pro-Palestinian rally, we dare not acknowledge the 130 Israeli hostages who have been held for over 200 days in captivity, or the violent murders of 1,200 Israelis on October 7th at the hands of Hamas. My creations are drowning in the sea, God says, and you want to sing before me? We live in a moment in which the world is looking for simple answers to such complex questions. Questions about the boundaries of free speech and outright discrimination, about how to keep our Jewish students feeling safe and able to access their education on college campuses. Questions about the soul of our people's ancient home, about the lives of the hostages, questions about the Palestinians in Gaza and the future of their people, questions about our place here as Jews in the US, as we face new levels of anti-Semitism that I, for one, never experienced growing up here, and that I didn't imagine my children would have to face as well. So many questions that pull at our hearts and challenge so much of what we have come to know. Yet as we sat around our Seder tables just days ago, we didn't sing for answers, we recited the 4 questions, because we know that though we might try, we don't have all the answers. And our tradition reminds us that it's much harder to live in a world of questions than to exist in the certainty of answers. And it also offers us the perspectives not of one child, but of the 4 children, the wise, the rebellious, the simple, and the one who doesn't know how to ask. For our Seder tables are meant to be like the Greco-Roman symposiums, ones of lively discussion and robust debate, where all different kinds of people and perspectives can sit around one table together. Or we can be those 4 different children at different times, some days wise and confident in our beliefs, other times rebelling against the narrative, and still other times not even knowing what questions we should be asking, let alone the answers. As we seek solace, as we seek answers to such big and painful questions, perhaps we can once again learn from the wisdom of our tradition, to hold our fear and anguish alongside our empathy and our curiosity, to hold our yearning for safety alongside our recognition of the suffering of others, as difficult as it was even for the angels to never lose sight of the humanity of all of God's creatures, to not let the world create zero-sum definitions of suffering that diminish our compassion or mutually exclusive circles of concern, to hold our uncertainty with the bravery of continuing to ask more and more questions, knowing that the answers are never simple, and refusing to listen to those who demand that they are. My creations are drowning in the sea, God calls out, and you want to sing before me. Yes, we must sing. We must continue to tell our people's story with the children beaming as they recite the 4 questions, and the generations gathering year after year to sing Dayenu, and to recline and to discuss the meaning of freedom as the world continues to change. We must celebrate our liberation while we also recognize the fates of those who drowned in the sea. Because our compassion, not just our perseverance, is our people's true superpower. And because we can tell the world that we don't have to choose, that our conviction and our empathy are not mutually exclusive, but interconnected. That as Jews, we can disagree with one another and still remain at the table together. For then, we may experience a new kind of freedom, one that we and our world so desperately need. Shabbat Shalom.
Pesach is a time filled with so much symbolism, where we have you actually wrote this in your email today. You have the egg symbolizing renewal, a new life, new opportunities for growth. We have symbols of charoset, the mortar that the Israelites worked hard on to build the bricks. And there's also a good amount of symbolism on the Seder plate that recognizes suffering and bitterness and pain. We have the maror, which in Hebrew literally means bitter, to be embittered by something, to feel not good, to feel not right. And then also, one of the most powerful symbols that I think is on the Seder table is the parsley that we dip into salt water, to recognize that these are the tears that we cry. These are the tears that we cried thousands of years ago as a people. And these are the tears that we still cry today in many different ways. And for us, these symbols are so resonant today because there are so many of us, perhaps ourselves, perhaps those in our circles, perhaps those we actually don't know, who are suffering, who are crying, who are embittered, and there is much pain in this world. And we need to look that pain in the eyes, whether it's ours or others, and we need to acknowledge it, and we need to recognize it and uplift it. Soon we'll turn to page 253 for the Misha Berach Lecholim, our prayer of healing. And really it's a prayer of recognizing that there are folks among us who are embittered, and there are folks among us who are crying salt water. And so what I'll invite us to do, if you feel comfortable, I'll invite us to think about, bring to mind someone in our hearts, or if you feel comfortable, you can share out loud the name of someone who you're thinking of, the names of someone's who you're thinking of. I'll invite you to share if you'd like to as our eyes meet. Page 253. Find the courage
join in Aleinu, which can be found on page 282, and if you're able, we'll invite you to please rise.
ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Words to prepare us for Mourner's Kaddish can be found on the top of page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, and in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. As we recite Kaddish this Shabbat, we especially remember Muriel Bodek, Helen Brucker, Richard A. Davidson, Bessie Flom, Louis Flom, Dennis John Friedman, Gail Friedman, Michael Greenberg, Nathan Greenberg, Joan Greenwood, David Hamburg, Isaac Holtz, Patricia Victor Kaplan, Daniel Kleinberg, Betsy Lautman, Jean Lockheim, Tanya Madfess, Samuel A. Magid, Rael Moser, Kate Elizabeth O'Hanlon, Craig Pierce, Senior Rabbi Emeritus Sanford Reagans, Rabbi Harry Roth, Bertha Rothbart, Barbara Rubin, Marilyn Samuels, Lori Schneider, Hannah J. Schwartz, Michael Shiniak, Martin Schickman, Eric J. Scholl, Roy Smith, Bernice Spiegel, Betty Ruth Sessholtz, B.B. Trabish, Charles Wax, and Catherine Westheimer. If there are other names that we should add, or if I mispronounce the name of your loved one, I'll invite you to say their name aloud at this time. We also think of all of those who have died as innocent victims of violence here in our people's ancient home and in Gaza and across the world in places that all too often go unnoticed. We'll join together in words of memory, Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 294, and we'll invite those who are able to please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush berchata v'nechemata. Ta'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be a blessing to all of us.
Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. Wishing you a meaningful Passover.